Hey everyone, welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. I am Steve Bose. I am joined by Alison Stevens from Paychecks today. Alison, how are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful, Steve. It's so awesome to see you. How are you?
I am well. It is great to see you. Thank you for stepping in today. I mentioned on the show on Monday, Trisha's traveling. And I had a special guest lined up for today, which is you. And I even made a special banner. There we go. Welcome
Thank you.
you to the show. It is great to see you. It's been a while. Probably the last time we spoke was when we did our podcast together a few months back. But for folks who maybe didn't hear that or don't know you, Allison, maybe just give us like the quick 30 seconds on who you are and what you do.
Happy to. Great to see you. I am the director of HR services at Paychex. So I have responsibility for leading a large team of very talented HR professionals that provide guidance and advice to our Paychex HR services clients. So we are very busy as usual. And I've been with Paychex for just about 16 years.
Wow, that's awesome, right? And the cool thing about what you guys do there in that group is you have hundreds of people in the group, right? As I recall, but you're dealing with thousands of HR professionals and customer organizations all over the country. That's got to be pretty wild. Also, we've talked a couple of times throughout the pandemic era as well about how crazy at times, right, that role can be with all these companies, all these HR professionals around the country ringing you up essentially for help and support and advice. What are some of the things you're hearing from folks around the country? What are they needing some guidance with?
Yeah, and one piece of data that I'll share with you, Steve, that I think is kind of puts it all into perspective is that my team, provides HR services to, like you said, thousands of clients, and those clients employ almost 1.5 million people in the
Wow.
U.S. So, just to give you the scope and the impact that we have on small businesses in America, it's pretty cool. Very proud
Yeah,
of it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I would say probably what we're seeing right now, workforce management kind of across our client base just continues to be a point of emphasis
Sure.
with business owners. Probably if I look at sort of recent interactions we've had with our clients, probably more than half, are still working through terminations, performance management,
Okay.
leaves of absence, navigating through progressive discipline. That's really the core, one of the core capabilities that we have
Mhm.
in really helping a small business owner or someone who may not be as experienced in HR practices, really helping them do go through the process with care,
Mhm.
making those sound decisions,
Yeah.
and really guiding them through that process to be sure, we're leading with our heads, with our hearts, and taking care of their employees.
Yeah, and it's great that they have you and the team there, right, for support in these kinds of really challenging and often tricky, right, circumstances, right, with their employees. And as you said, they may not be fully experienced in those processes, fully understanding of all the best practices, and all probably even some compliance issues as well, right, to make sure they stay on the right side of all those issues.
Exactly, right? So dial into the state that they operate in. And, as we've seen, quite a bit of kind of the changing landscape of distributed workforces and the emergence of remote workers, right? So that also means too, like knowing which state your employee is in,
Yeah.
and being able to navigate that. So we're here to help and, continue to stay really busy and really engaged with our
That's
customers.
awesome. Hey, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, Allison, which I'm sure you get a lot of requests for assistance around, and also provide a lot of best practices and workflows and processes for folks to follow, is around onboarding, right? I just read today about a recent study Paychex did, looked into onboarding specifically around what can happen, what are the negative repercussions of poor onboarding experiences. I read about in Fortune today, as a matter of fact, and I'd love for you maybe to tell us a little bit about that study and what are some of the things you guys found around onboarding specifically.
Yeah, so we were very excited to be featured in Fortune, some of our comments as well as the study. And I think the bottom line is our findings show that as organizations are looking at how to improve their onboarding process, they really need to spend the time to create a welcoming, engaging, and a clear experience that introduces, aligns with their culture, making sure employees are really clear about what
Mhm.
it is they're there to do, right? What is the job? What are my expectations? And also, I think another interesting finding from that study, Steve, was around, offering longer term employees re-onboarding as a
Yeah, that was really interesting. I did read
right?
about that.
So really being able to reintroduce aspects of the culture of your company, maybe even just reminding employees, right, about particular broad processes or cultural or performance standards that are important in the success of the business. We could probably go on for
Mhm.
much longer than this live stream
Yeah.
about all the things that could be successful. I actually know of a specific example with one of our clients that we worked with recently where
Mhm.
we helped them with their onboarding experience, and we used some documents that they had put together around their culture that they
Mhm.
were able to place right into the Paychex Flex system so that employees could access it easily. So think about that when you're talking about even, long-term employees and re-onboarding, right? Knowing
Yeah.
where to go, having those documents to reference. We had a success there.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, and I'll encourage folks to check that out. You can read about the sort of some of the summary of the findings in Fortune, and go to paychecks.com and learn more as well. But that re-onboarding I thought was interesting as well, because I wonder in a lot of organizations if there's kind of almost like a two-tiered employee base now. And I'm saying, thinking about sort of people who were on there and in place prior to the pandemic, and then all the folks that came on during that pandemic era. So that could have meant they were remote only, maybe for at least a good chunk of that era, maybe still are remote only, or many of the policies and procedures and processes would have changed as a result of pandemic, right? For all kinds of businesses.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's like reboarding or re-onboarding everybody, and certainly finding ways to bring everybody back together, and some shared experiences might be beneficial, because people's experiences entering the organization would have been wildly different depending on when they entered.
Absolutely. And I find myself, I'm probably guilty of being a broken record, but but talking to, my leaders, to other leaders about the impact of distributed workforces when we're all operating virtually. So, that re-onboarding process, as you described, is a really potentially nice opportunity to say, hey, we're going to come back into the office for a half day, right? Let's come together. Let's do some work around, reminding everyone why we're here. What's your sense of purpose? What's the culture? What's the vision?
Mhm.
It's a really great opportunity of the why behind you might want to bring people back together in person for a period of time.
Yeah, that's another great example. And that's probably another story for another show. Maybe we'll do about those meaningful experiences, those in-person experiences, right? Because that tension, right, we've seen in many organizations between remote to hybrid to in-person, and how much in-person, and how is in-person going to be managed? Is it on a cadence? Is it everybody together in the same day? Is it, and it's
Yeah,
still all kinds of things happening out there, right?
very true. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's a magic formula to what is the right, application of time spent in office, remote. I think we are hearing more and more large companies, right, mandating that return to office, probably in response to, a particular objective or business conditions.
Yeah.
I can say from my point of view, particularly with the employees that I lead, many of us are craving that in-person interaction. So we're
Sure.
actually trying to get creative around finding ways we can come together. We've put a name to it. We're calling it dropping a pin. So, I've got
Okay.
leaders in the country. So we're dropping pins in those places around the country and saying, hey, if you're an employee with Paychecks or on our team, come join us for a couple of hours. We'll have lunch.
That's
We'll sit down,
great.
and just have that in-person connection for a few hours. I think is, our intent is to just sort of fill everyone's cup for a little bit,
Mhm.
be able to see each other and get caught up.
That's great stuff, Allison. Yeah, so I we'll make sure we share some of these resources with folks who
Yeah.
are listening, both now live and after the fact. Allison, this is the work break. We're meant to also have a little fun and take a break, right? The origin of the show was a pandemic era thing, right? When we said, we never really take a break anymore because you're staring at your screen all day. So I always have notes, Allison, and I don't know this about you, so I'm going to ask: are you a dog person at all, Allison?
I am very much a dog person. In fact, I've been crossing my fingers and my dog did not bark during this conversation. And I just said the word dog and now I just heard her.
Okay, that's fine.
And
We don't
yeah,
mind. We don't
Yes.
mind the dog barking. So
Yes.
here's what I'm going to ask you today, Allison. And maybe you saw this if you're a dog person, maybe you didn't. I just read this today. Allison, according to the American Kennel Club, there is a new #1 dog in America. This is according to like official registrations of purebred dogs. Okay.
Okay.
For the first time in 31 years, a new breed. This is last year's data. A new breed of dog is now the #1 most registered dog in the United States. Do you have a guess as to what breed of dog that might be? First time in 31 years that the #2 dog has not been #1. Give you a little hint. It's smallish, very cute.
French bulldog.
Boom, you nailed it, Allison. That is correct. America's #1 dog breed, according to the AKC, is the French bulldog. First time in 31 years, the Labrador Retriever had been #1 for over 30 years. How about that? That's a great guess. That's
okay.
You did it. What kind of dog is your dog?
So we actually recently did a DNA test on her because we rescued her about a year and a half ago. And we were told at the time she was a breed, which was entirely false and incorrect. So she is a third dachshund, a third rat terrier, and a third poodle.
Nice. That's a weird. I don't want to meet all three of those parents maybe at the same time, but that's fantastic. Now, dogs are great. And I applaud you, Allison, for getting that right. As we do these shows, Trish and I never plan the topics really in advance. So I like to stump her with these quizzes. I didn't get you this time. That was awesome.
I know. Do I win? What do I win?
All right. Well, I'll send you some swag. I am ordering new H3 HR swag, Allison. I'm in process of doing that today. We will get you some new swag. How about that?
Awesome. Okay. I'll email you my address. I'll hold you to it.
Do it. Okay, Allison, this was super fun. I don't want to hold you too much longer. This was our break. We probably both need to get back to work. I'm sure you and the team have loads and loads of important things to do today. I do want to thank you once again for taking a few minutes today. It's great to see you.
Great to see you. My pleasure.
Awesome. And you can learn more about the study we talked about, a lot of the resources that Paychex provides to the community, both to clients and just to the community itself. It's not just for Paychex clients. Great stuff around compliance and rule changes and just HR data, great podcasts that Paychex does themselves, of course. So you can learn more at paychex.com for that. And of course, you could find all of our show archives at hrhappyhour.net, including some shows we've done with Allison in the past. So thanks again, Alison Stevens. My name's Steve Bose. We're out for today. We'll see you. Trish and I will be back again next week. I'm not sure where she'll be. I'm not sure where I'll be, but we'll be back here with you. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Steve.